Hello, I wanted to do this video. I was going to go live in my group, but I decided I wanted this needed to go to a much larger audience. I think there's a lot of people out there that really need to understand, and I'd like to try to help them understand why we love our reborn so much. I did a video on this a while back, and I wanted to do another one because like I said, I feel like it's necessary, to just keep reaching out, to keep explaining, to try to help people understand why there's so many of us that love and collect these babies. They're called Reborn Dolls, and they come in many, forms. You have your vinyl ones, your silicone ones, you have your preemies, your infants, your bigger babies, your toddlers. And I've seen some of them go all the way up until they're about, the size, or not so much the size, but the age of about 12. So they come in a huge wide variety. So it's, everybody has different reasons for collecting these dolls. I've known single men who have collected these dolls, and he collected the older, like 3, 4, 5, up to 12-year-old ages, and some people saw that as kind of creepy. And you have to train your brain not to stereotype. You have to train your brain not to automatically go to, what's the worst? The worst reason he could be collecting these dolls. Don't go there. That isn't it. I promise you. In most cases, it's just a love for dolls. And there are men that can have a love for dolls just as well as women. It's not a female thing. They're just like there are men that really enjoy being at-home fathers, and while the wives work, and they like taking care of the kids, changing diapers, cooking, and doing all that. You've got men who love to cook, and there's a lot of men that won't set foot in the kitchen. I have a really good husband who likes to cook, doesn't mind cooking, that doesn't mind doing dishes from time to time, that does his part, in cleaning the rest of the house and taking care of things around here. There's a lot of men that won't. They feel like it's a woman's job. See, there's a lot of different angles for a lot of different things. You have to train your brain not to stereotype. Okay, don't just run right to that, negative thought. And that's what I'm asking you to do when it comes to reborns. Don't go to that negative thought. Well, they're grown people. Why are they carrying around dolls? It's ridiculous to buy car seats and closets full of clothes and, take a doll with you everywhere you go. Try not to look at it that way. There's people that just merely collect. They never take them out of their house. They just collect them and display them. There are people that like to take them out and show them off. And there are some people that really connect with these babies and bond with them and enjoy them very, very much, and actually view them as their children. They know they're dolls. They're not viewing them as, they're not, in their mind, they're not saying this is a real baby, okay? They're not losing touch with reality, but they are bonding with them and they see them as their children. We have different reasons. There are some women who have lost children, and these babies help them cope with that loss. There are some women who struggle and have struggled for years with infertility and want nothing more than to be a mom, have a very strong maternal need, and just want to be a mom. There are some women, and these babies help them tremendously because they give them something to hold and to love and to nurture, you know what I mean? And then there are women like myself who suffer from depression or anxiety or panic disorder or all three. There are people that are bipolar, that are, and there's different forms of depression too. There's manic depressant, there's bipolar depressant, there's, but or PTSD, whatever if if it brings them joy and comfort and helps them to get through every day, there's nothing wrong with it. They're not hurting themselves. They're not hurting you, anyone else. They are just needing something to love. Yes, okay, like me. All right, here's a good example. I suffer from depression, anxiety, and panic disorder. All three of them. Have for many years. Okay, I have a wonderful husband that loves me, that's there for me. I have two beautiful daughters. I've never struggled with infertility, never had a problem getting pregnant. I've not ever lost any children. Okay? Or anything like that, but I do suffer from depression, anxiety, and panic disorder. Though I have wonderful children, they're grown now, and they're all there for me, and they all take good care of me, and yes, they are my reason every day. My husband and my daughters are my reason every day for getting up out of bed, getting dressed, and trying to be productive, and trying to be healthy. Absolutely. Okay, I want to clarify that. But my dolls do that for me as well. Sometimes, my kids are at work, or when they were, at school, or sometimes they're at work. My husband's at work. Sometimes they can't be here for me. Okay? And during those times, that's when my babies help me. I don't need to lean on them 24/7. I need to be able to have some sort of independence. My dolls help me do that because, okay, I'm still feeling like I really need someone to be with me, to go with me. I'm really kind of scared to go by myself. Well, since I had to retire my service dog, then that's what my dolls do. I take a doll with me, and I feel calm. I feel safe. I feel like I can get through this. I can handle this. Prior to my dolls, some years ago, my coping mechanism was alcohol. And cigarettes. I smoked. And I just felt like if I can have a drink and a cigarette, I can handle anything. Anything you throw at me, I can handle it. As long as I can have a drink in one hand and a cigarette in the other, I'm good. And I fooled myself into thinking that these things helped my anxiety and my depression and even my panic disorder. But they didn't. All they did was make it worse. So it took me a little while. I got my service dog. She made a huge difference. And then she began to be allergic to her vaccinations, and I had to retire her. And then I didn't know what I was going to do. Well, then that's when Reborns came into my life, kind of unexpectedly. And I did, I was able to bond with that first baby, and I loved him. And it's a long story. I'm not going to get into it, but I sent him back to his artist for repairs, and she would not give him back. And that was almost 2 years ago. So that's where it kind of went from there, was with that first baby. And I found myself being able to bond with him, and it was very enjoyable to hold him. When I went out without him, my typical worries. That person's sitting too close to me. This whole room, there's a bunch of empty chairs. Why do they have to sit next to me? This person's standing so close to me. I can almost feel their breath on the back of my neck. Every time they turn or move, they bump me because they're too close. And I have this thing about personal space. I would get into an elevator. Oh my God, it's so crowded in here. I can't stand it. Or the room will be too crowded. There's too many people. There's too much noise. It's sensory overload. And I would just be like, no. And I would turn around and I would leave. That would be the end of my day. I would go home. I would get into my pajamas. I would crawl into my bed and stay there the rest of the day. But when I have a baby with me, I'm not worrying about the person sitting too close to me or standing too close to me. I'm not even thinking about it because I'm looking at my baby and I'm concentrating on my baby. I'm not noticing that the room is crowded or that the elevator is crowded because I'm looking at my baby, because I'm focused on that. People are saying, oh, how cute. And they're asking me how old. And then I tell them it's not a real baby. And then we have that discussion. And I'm not thinking about all the things that normally bother me. I'm not being overly sensitive to all the talking, the noise, the sensory overload. It's not an issue because I'm focused on my baby. So that's how they help me. I get out somewhere and I get panicked. My brain will pick out something and say, well, that person seems to be everywhere you are. They're following you. They're not. In most cases, now there have been a couple cases where they were. And my husband was even with me for the second time, and he was like, because he thought I was losing my mind the first time when I came home and told him, and he said, my apologies. That person was following you, and if that's exactly what happened last time, then I'm sorry that I didn't believe you. But there are times where my mind makes up things. Well, they seem to be following me. They're everywhere I am. Or, well, I was just, that guy was just at the last store I was at. Or, the clouds are getting dark outside. I think there's a storm coming. Oh, I better hurry up and get home because, there may be a tornado or something awful, or, something like that. That's what my mind does, and it that in turn sends signals. My brain sends signals to the rest of me that says panic. Okay, my heart starts racing. I have shortness of breath. I start shaking sometimes. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like sheer fear. It's terror. I mean, you are scared to death, and you almost just feel frozen, you don't know what to do. Your mind is all over the place. Oh my God. And it's awful. And sometimes I would even start crying because it would get so overwhelming. But when I have a baby with me, it doesn't happen. I see the dark clouds and I think, well, it's possible we might get some rain or maybe even a storm, but it'll be okay. It doesn't look too bad. And I'll go back to what I was doing and pay attention to my doll. I'm not thinking about all that. I'm not noticing the people around me. So I would never know if that person was in the last store with me or not because I'm focused on my baby. So that's how my babies help me. If I didn't take a doll with me, I wouldn't go anywhere. I do go places now. I have really started pushing myself and taking small steps. I do go places from time to time without my dolls. And sometimes, a couple times I've even gone somewhere alone without a doll, which is a huge accomplishment for me. Unless you have lived through this, you could not begin to understand what it feels like to just live like that on a daily basis. So I'm asking everyone out there to please don't judge. If you have a family member that has these dolls, don't make them feel like they can't have these dolls out around you. Don't make them feel like that if y'all go out somewhere, they can't bring one with them because it may be what's saving their life. They may be very lonely and isolating at home because they really need to take that doll out with them and they don't want to be judged. Okay? Think about the fact that you love them and that you want to be there for them. You want to support them. If that makes them happy, then let them do that. You don't have to interact with the dolls. You don't have to join in. You don't have to have one of your own. You don't even really have to understand it completely. Just love them enough to support them and say, hey, if it works for you and you're happy, that's all I want. That's what family and close friends are supposed to do. Love them enough to say, hey, not my thing, but if it's making their life better, hey, and they're getting out and they're going places and they're not sitting at home alone, they're actually laughing, they're in a good mood, let them have it. It's not hurting them, it's not hurting you, it's not hurting anybody else, and it's not embarrassing. Please don't see it as embarrassing. See it as it's helping my loved one. Okay, it's the same principle. If you have a loved one who's special needs, I have a daughter who's special needs. And she makes a lot of noise, flaps her hands, does things that make people stare. I don't like it when they stare, but there's nothing I can do about it. I encourage them to come and ask questions if they're curious. Think about that. Don't just automatically think, well, what's wrong with that person? Or hey, could you stop that? That's annoying. Because think about the fact that maybe they can't help it. My daughter doesn't even realize she's doing it half the time. She can't help it. So she does not deserve to be disrespected or unincluded, not allowed there because of a disability that she has no control over. She didn't ask to be that way. She'd give anything to be what everybody else classifies as normal. And I tell her all the time, that word normal is an ugly word to me. Because there really is no definitive definition of normal. Okay? There's no normal, okay, as far as I'm concerned. We're all unique and different. We all have our own likes and dislikes. Our beliefs are different. you know, some people snore, some people don't. Some people slurp or smack when they drink or eat. Some people don't. Some people talk through movies because it helps them understand the movie, to ask questions and stuff. Some people don't. Some people, you know, like running, jogging. Some people don't. Some people like eating. Some people really don't. Some people like shopping. Some people, nah. They don't have time to go out and go look and shop. It's not their thing. Some people like to play role-playing games. Some people don't. Some people like to play sports. Some people are not athletic. Some people love computers. Some people hate them. You see what I mean? We're all different. We're all unique. There is no normal. So I hate that word, normal. Okay? We're all normal. We're our normal. Okay? And that is fine. Okay? But understand, if you're out somewhere and you see someone with one of these reborn dolls, they're dolls that are made to look like real babies. Don't be rude. Don't be disrespectful. Not your thing. You think it's a little weird? Go the other way. And don't say anything at all. My advice, though, is the best advice. Go up to them. Say, hey, it's a cute baby. You know, how old is it? And when they say, well, it's not a real baby, it's a doll. Oh, okay. You know, and very nicely just say, well, can I ask why you have a doll? Just curious. And most of the time we're willing to say, yeah, sure. And we explain, you know, and maybe they lost a baby and this feels an emptiness. Maybe they, like I said, struggle with infertility and they just need and want something to love and to nurture. And this fills that strong motherly, you know, maternal instinct that they have, that they're not able to fulfill with a real baby. Don't tell somebody, well, go have a real baby. Don't you think if they could, they would? Maybe they can't. Sure, they could adopt, but you know what? Adoption costs money. Way more than these dolls do. So before you say, well, so do these dolls. Well, yeah, some of them are expensive, but adoption's a whole lot more expensive. And maybe they can't afford that. So as long as it's helping them and they're happy, you know, be happy for them. Don't look at them as immature, weird, you know, don't look at the doll as creepy. Now I understand some people use the word creepy because the doll looks so real, and it's creepy that it looks so real that you cannot tell that it's a doll until you touch it. Okay, that's good creepy to me, and I take that as a huge compliment with my dolls. But don't use creepy as in that's creepy. You're a grown person, you're carrying around a doll. Don't do that, okay? Because think about yourself. There's got to be one thing that you do that somebody else would consider weird or creepy. Do you role play? Do you dress up in costumes and go to conventions? Do you play role-playing games? Do you play, you're a grown person and you sit and play video games? You enjoy them. You know, think about it. Do you do something that someone your age typically, usually wouldn't be interested in doing, that somebody else would consider very childish and immature? So just think about all that before you go and be rude to someone else. These dolls help someone. They give them a better life. Without them, they'd be sitting inside. They'd be isolated. They would be lonely. With them, they're out. They're being productive. They're not lonely. They're meeting people. They're living life. Because I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you're not happy, you're not healthy. If you're not happy, you're either angry, sad, or both. You're tired, you're frustrated, you're everything but happy. So when you're not happy, you don't eat enough or eat right. You don't sleep enough. Sometimes you don't sleep at all. And when these things start happening, that affects your physical health. So just know that if someone's not happy, then they're probably not taking proper care of themselves, and they're going to start having major physical health issues. We don't want that for our loved ones. So let them do what makes them happy so that they will eat right, eat enough, sleep enough, be productive, have self-confidence, feel good about themselves, lift people up, don't tear them down. You may not agree with it. It may not be your thing. You don't have to go along with, you don't have to interact with the dolls. You don't have to have one of the dolls. Like I said, just let them have what they need to be happy, and don't make them feel bad. Don't, no need to feel embarrassed. It's not you, it's them. Just because they have it and they're with you doesn't mean people are going to think there's something wrong with you. People shouldn't think there's anything wrong with them either. Okay, we all have different things that we like to do, things that help everyday life more bearable. And I'm just asking you to respect that, to not judge, try to live by God's example. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. You want respect, you have to give it. You want love, you have to give it. You want patience, you have to give it. You want understanding, you have to give it. Okay? The more of these things you give, the more you will receive. Take care of each other. Help each other. Love each other. Don't hurt each other. This world is a much better place when we band together and we take care of each other, we help each other, we love each other. Just, if you just can't wrap your head around it and it's just too weird for you, then just walk away. Then just don't even go up to the person. Don't say nothing. Don't look at them. Don't give them a weird look. Don't roll your eyes. Don't shake your head. Don't do any of that stuff. Just go. Go on about your day and don't even worry about it. But I'm asking you to reach inside yourself and try to understand what these people are going through and how much these dolls help. They also are very good for Alzheimer's patients. It gives them something to do every day. In learning to take care of these dolls and learning to take care of a baby again, they're remembering how to take care of themselves. Sometimes in that process of remembering how to take care of themselves, they get back certain little memories. They remember their children. They remember their mothers. Sometimes they get back a few little memories, even if it is just temporary. And it gives them something to be happy about. And it's very calming. Because if you know anything about Alzheimer's, those patients can get quite ornery and they can get angry and they can feel like someone's out to get them. They can be very difficult to care for. But when you give one of them these dolls, it's automatically calming. This is where their mind is. They're caring for this baby. They're loving this baby. And, it's just a good thing. These dolls are a good thing all the way around. Whether you are an artist, a sculptor, an artist, collector, or just someone who loves to have these babies and take care of them and dress them, take them out places with them, or you're all of those things. You're a human being. You deserve love and respect. You're not weird. You're not immature. You're not creepy. You're not stupid. You're not any of those things. You're a wonderful, gifted, loving human being that just has so much love and not enough people to give that love to. So you need these dolls so that you can give this love to them. That being said, before this video gets too much longer, I'm going to close this, but I just wanted everyone to understand why a lot of people have these dolls, how much they help us, and we just want your respect. And if it's just, like I said, it's too much for you, it's too weird for you, then you see someone with one of these dolls, walk the other way. You think it's a baby, you go up and you say, oh, how beautiful, how old? And they say, well, it's not a real baby, it's a doll, it's a reborn doll. Don't go, why do you have a doll? Do that. Just say, well, oh my goodness, how beautiful. That looks like a real baby. I didn't know the difference. Don't be embarrassed that it fooled you and you thought it was a real baby. Hey, that just means there's an extremely talented artist out there. Extremely talented sculptor and an extremely talented artist. And then just say, oh, well, it is beautiful. It looks just like a real baby. You have a wonderful day and just go. You don't have to ask any more questions. You don't have to be any more involved. Just, it looks very real. It's very beautiful. You have a great day and just walk off. I mean, please don't be rude. because there are so many people that are afraid to go out and they're isolated, they're home alone and lonely. They're afraid to go out because they want to bring their baby with them. And they're afraid of what you, whether you're public or your family or friends, they're worried about what you are going to say. Okay, so if you have a family member that has these dolls, please go to them. Let them know that you understand and you're okay. And if they want to bring their babies out with them, they're more than welcome to bring a baby out with them when they're out with you. You want them to be happy. You love them. And if that makes them happy, then it makes you happy. Be honest. If it's not your thing, and just say, well, it's not really my thing. I don't really want to be involved, but I'm okay with you bringing one out with you. I'm okay with it. You know, please be there for your family, no matter what it is. Okay, no matter what. If you had a son or daughter that was addicted to drugs, you're not going to abandon them. No, you're going to do an intervention. You're going to try to get them help. You're going to love them anyway. You have a family member that's alcoholic, same thing. You have a family member that has a gambling problem. You're not going to disown them. You're not going to quit loving them. You're just going to try to get them help. You know, kind of along the same lines, not exactly the same. The dolls are not going to make you lose everything. They're not going to hurt your health or anything, but they're, you know, it's their coping mechanism. And think about it, it's far healthier than drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, all the other bad coping mechanisms that are out there. There's people that have eating disorders. They eat for comfort. Just think how much healthier they would be and how much thinner they would be if they found love in one of these beautiful dolls instead of food. Do you see what I'm saying? So think about all the bad coping mechanisms and what it can do to them, and then think about these dolls and how much, you know, they can't hurt them. They can't do anything to them. They can't hurt their lungs or cause them to be extremely overweight, not be able to function, not be, you know, have diabetes. You know what I'm saying? Give them, you know, a bad liver, cirrhosis of the liver. You can't do any of these things to them. Cannot harm them. So when they choose one of these healthy mechanisms, please don't make them feel bad or embarrassed about it. Say, hey, if that's what you need to do, if that's what makes life better for you, I'm here. You know, I understand. Feel free to bring a baby out with you. Try to be loving and understanding. Okay? Thank you for listening. I appreciate your time, and I hope that this has helped, and I hope that if you show this video to someone in your life that you desperately need to understand, I hope it helps them to understand a little bit more. Take care. Be safe, be healthy, be happy, be you.